I find love? How do I find happiness? We've doubled down on selfishness. And it worked for a while. It worked when the economy was really good. Like in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, it's awesome. Selfishness was great because it worked. But now in a complicated, messy world where the economy isn't great and everything's not roses, all that self-interest is now not working. Except we haven't been practicing and developing the skills of taking care of each other. And that's what we need now more than ever. There's nothing for free. Somebody with an incredible career has no relationship with their kids, right? Everything comes at a cost. But at the same time, everything we struggle with has opportunity and lesson that goes with it. It's always balanced. And when something horrible happens in someone's life or something goes sideways, I always ask, but what did you learn? So the single greatest lesson I ever learned in my career that profoundly changed the course of my life, and it comes right before the realization and the articulation of why. I learned how to ask for help, and I learned how to accept it when I was offered. Okay, and I think that it's not about giving up on someone. It's that helping someone is a team sport. Success is a team sport, and if you find that you're the only player in their life when they should be the primary player, you can only do the assists. You'll never be the one making the baskets. That's their job, right? But if they won't take the pass, then at some point you stop throwing the ball. And it's not about giving up on people. It's about accountability to take responsibility for oneself. And giving up on somebody is, don't ever call me again. You don't take my advice. This is over, right? That's giving up. The biggest skills of learning to help others is learning how to listen. And most of us are really crap at listening, right? We confuse listening with hearing the words that were spoken. You know, you're sitting watching TV and, you know, somebody you love is trying to tell you something and you're like, and you're still watching TV and you're not even listening to me. And we turn around and repeat all the words back to them. That's not listening. That's hearing the words that were spoken to you. Listening is when the other person feels heard, right? And where you are in pursuit of meaning, not the words spoken. You're not so literal. You know, there are many advantages to remote working. The sharing of ideas is much more difficult. Like a brainstorming, like really, really hard to do in a virtual scenario because it's hyper polite, right? You can't interrupt somebody as easily. Like when you have a real brainstorming, it's messy, it's loud, you step on each other's words, you interrupt each other, you have an idea, like, no, and nobody cares. It's the mess, it's the joy of it, right? In an online scenario, you literally can't hear people if everybody's talking at once. And you're constantly apologizing and so your turn. And you don't have that wonderful energy. And so I think brainstorming's suffered. When you're done with work, you go out with your friends for a bite to eat or at the pub and you bitch about work and you bitch about your boss. Totally healthy. And you do it with the friends, whether it's a good job or a bad job, it doesn't matter. You have a place separated from work. That's your friends that you go and get it all out, right? Super healthy and you feel supported and loved and heard and all that good stuff. That went away completely. And so what ended up happening, and again, if you didn't have a family, if you were living alone, all these things just get more and more exaggerated, right? So what ended up happening was, and again, especially young people, but for a lot of other people too, is we started looking to the people. We spent more time with people now at work on Zoom with them all day and sometimes into the evening. We now started spending more time with these people and we didn't have somebody to go out with afterwards. And so we started looking to work to be that therapeutic outlet, right? And so what so many people did is, first of all, gossip starts to swirl a lot more because we're now venting and bitching to each other as opposed to our friends, right? So especially if somebody's young or susceptible, like gossips can take off much quicker, which is very dangerous to a culture. But what I've seen is that we find one empathetic person, the good listener on the team, right? And we call them up and we bitch about our job, we bitch about our boss. But then it keeps going. Like, I don't know what I don't want to do with my life. You know, I hate my boyfriend, I hate my girlfriend, I don't know if I should break. And all of a sudden you're dumping all of your life's problems on somebody from work who just happens to be a good listener. And what we're doing is we're increasing the stress on that person. So we suffered it in our company, and I've heard it from many other companies, which is those people, those empaths, they're quitting. And if you ask them, why are you quitting? They go, because I'm burnt out. And you're looking at their workload and be like, I don't understand. Like, how are you burnt out? They're burnt out from taking on all of everyone else's stress because they're empathetic. Everybody else's stress becomes their stress. right? That's the problem with this, which is, and it's good that some of like, as COVID eases up, like going out with our friends and having that safe space to vent away from work is really important. So there is good evidence to your assertion that this young generation seems less capable to deal with stress than previous generations. That is true. They are good at curating, they've grown up in an Instagram, Facebook, TikTok world where I'm really good at showing you the life I want you to think that I lead. And so they're really good at presenting a confidence that they don't have. They sound like they have all the answers when they don't. But quiet quitting is this thing where I don't quit the job, but I basically will dial back my effort and give you the minimum. So you pay me to do this job and I will do the basic minimum amount to do the job, where you can't really fire me because I'm not really doing anything badly or wrong, but I'm also not going above and beyond at all, right? So there's this concept of quiet quitting where people are coming to work and they're just doing the minimum, doing their hours, doing their job, not volunteering or raising their hands or going, and that's it. So I had a conversation with somebody recently that I found absolutely fascinating. And she is polyamorous. She has 4 boyfriends, right? And she's very open about it. And one of the things that she explains is you have to be very honest with everybody so that everybody knows what the deal is. I think what a lot of people do is they're dating somebody, it's new, it's casual, and they're dating somebody else that's new and casual, but they don't tell them about each other. So they both think that they're more special than they are, or they both are driving towards something that may or may not be true because, you're dating 2 or 3 people and you're gonna wait and see which one works out. This, in the poly world, what I'm learning is you tell everybody everything so everybody knows. And it's very open and honest. Everybody knows where they stand. You can say, I'm not into this, I want to be the sole, or I'm okay with this. And maybe something will develop, maybe it won't. But the point is it's on the table. And I admire the level of communication. What I'm hoping is that we do the same thing in our professional lives. So you sort of have poly work, if you will. I have 2 full-time jobs. I have 3 things going, or I only want this kind of relationship. And it works if both parties are really open and honest, because it's all about managing expectations. Hold on, I thought that you were gonna give me all of your attention and all of your effort and all of your ambition, and you're telling me you only wanna you wanna treat my job as a casual job? Like, just replace relationship with job. All the same rules seem to apply. But if I knew that, I would be fine with that. I would have given you a different job and had different expectations and wouldn't have pushed you really hard. I would have given that work to someone else. Because I'm assuming you want to live your career like I live my career. Like I assume that I'm getting into this relationship and you're getting into it for the same reasons as me because we never had a conversation. We are nowhere near that in terms of social acceptance for that kind of conversation. But I aspire for that somebody sits down and says, a part of your CV and part of your interview says, what kind of work-life balance do you aspire for and how do you view work? Even if you change your mind. Create a place in which if people want to stay, it'll be an enjoyable place that they can make a career and grow within the organization, right? And for some people who don't have aspirations for leadership, that they can come and do good work every day and sort of get fair raises on a regular basis, so that they would, with cost of living adjustments, et cetera, that they want to stay there, even if it's a middle level. Like, not everybody aspires to be a hard driving, owner, And I think it's about making it a conversation. We never treated work like a conversation, We treated it like a speech. This is how it's going to be. And I think so. One of the good things that's coming out of COVID and young people is they're asking questions about why does work have to be that way, and employers are rebelling against it because it doesn't fit the way we grew up and doesn't fit our understanding of relationships, And it's just a conversation. That's all it is. And by being honest up front, then you can say, I don't think this is going to be a good fit for us. I don't think you'll enjoy working here. And so if I employ you, knowing what I know now, we will both get frustrated. And I will either ask you to leave or you will just tell me you're going to leave. That's how this will end, because of misaligned expectations. And so I think being honest about what you want and who you are and what your ambitions are, even if they change in the middle, you can knock on the door and say, I've changed my mind. I think I want to stay here forever. I told you I didn't, but I really love it here. And I know this from the military. Some people join the military because it's a steady job in a bad economy, or because the military will pay for you to get a college education, and they didn't have the money to get it without it. So they join the military. And then when there, they fall in love with it. They never came in for service. They discovered the service and the brotherhood and the sisterhood and decided to stay, And some people might have come in for the service and realized this isn't for me. So work should be the same.
Amen.
And this goes once again to, this younger generation who seem to lack the skills for coping with stress, not very good at asking for help, very confrontation avoidant, like I said, so afraid sometimes to have the question, to ask the boss, can I have a raise, that they would rather just quit. And it's often with an email that says, you don't appreciate me, you don't pay me enough. I was like, what? You just had to ask me, I would have given you a raise, And I think part of it is also that, when somebody is anxious about something, they do poorly present. They do make things binary because there's fear or anxiety or stress or fear of rejection. What if my boss says no, right? Can I handle that? Like all of these things that come into these very sort of binary aggressive things. And I always equate all of these challenges at work to personal relationships. Like you can't go to the person you love in your relationship and say, I demand this. It's just not gonna go well, right? But you present a situation, you say, I want us to move through this, and how do we work through this together? And I think that's how these difficult work conversations need to happen. A work relationship is a relationship like any other relationship. There's trust, there's anger, there's care, there's good days and bad days, and all of the same nonsense, messiness in our personal relationships are at work as well. There's slightly different standards of professionalism and emotional professionalism and things like that. But in terms of, it's a relationship like any other relationship, so you have to treat it like a relationship. Monogamous used to mean I'm in one relationship for my whole life. Now monogamy means I'm in one relationship at a time, right? So even that definition has changed, where monogamy and people who consider themselves strictly monogamous have 15 monogamous relationships, right? Over the course of 10, how many close? I've had 6 close, relationships. They were all monogamous, right? So these definitions are evolving anyway, right? If you make it binary, you're backing someone into a corner. I realize our marriage is loveless, so I want to start seeing other people, and you can too.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is you're forcing someone into a binary yes or no, which is unfair to somebody. And you're setting yourself up for probably failure, right? As opposed to saying, I love you, you're my life partner, you're my best friend. I never, ever want to lose you. At the same time, our relationship is loveless, and I'm struggling because I crave love and I crave that kind of affection, and we don't have it. And so I'm struggling and don't know what to do. And I want to know how you feel, and I want to know if we can work on this together. So you're making it's just like the raise. It's like, let's make this. Now, if you hate the marriage, then get out of the marriage. Like if you've tried the counseling and it's broken, then that's a different conversation. But if there is the desire to stay in the loving relationship in some way, shape, or form, but you're looking to fill a place that's missing, then that's a conversation. But it is not a demand or a request. It's a honey, I need to have an uncomfortable, difficult conversation. And we may not get it resolved today, but I want us to promise to stick through each other, stick through this with each other, so we can figure it out together. It might take us a day, it might take us a week, it might take us 6 months, but I'm gonna be here throughout and wanna go through this with you because I am struggling in this relationship. Somebody else has the right to know that their partner is struggling in the relationship. And odds are, if only one person is struggling, there's no scenario where only one person is struggling. It's like when we have a problem with an employee, like if we really can't, they hate their job too. Like it's not a shocker, And like to start the conversation, like, listen, I'm struggling with you. I know you hate it here because it can't be one way, right? That doesn't exist. The problem with a relationship with two people is I'm not in total control of the relationship. Remember, I'm a member of a group, I'm a member of a tribe, I'm a member of a team. I'm not in total control of everything. And I have to relinquish some control. And the thing we have to deal with more than anything is fear. It's fear that is the underlying thing why we don't have honest conversations. It's why we are hyper aggressive or make things binary. It's because we fear rejection, we fear loss, we fear whatever it is. And and we can ask for somebody to reassure us. And we can deal with the fear first. And by saying, I'm going to stay here, and an employer or a lover can say, I promise you I will stick through this with you as well. I will not abandon you. We'll get through this together. That takes the fear down a notch, right? That we will do this together. Sitting in your bedroom with your phone on self-view and broadcasting your breakup or your anger or whatever it is on TikTok or whatever your medium of choice is, is not vulnerability, even if you're crying. Have that exact same conversation with those exact same words with somebody you love and see how difficult that is. That's vulnerability. And I just, the idea of broadcasting everything, I think it's, putting pictures of me as a baby and my dad holding me and happy Father's Day, Dad, I love you. My dad's not on frickin' Instagram. Why don't I just call my dad and say, happy Father's Day, I love you, as opposed to, I think it's hilarious, our need to broadcast everything. And we think that's vulnerability, and it's not. It's broadcasting our emotions. And I think we make this mistake all the time in our relationships, which is we think we have to be honest in the moment, but we don't read the room and understand that there's too much emotion involved to have a rational conversation. Somebody's mad at us, and this is not the time for rational feedback. You meet emotion with emotion, you meet rational with rational. You can't mix the two. And sometimes we're rational, but they're emotional, which means we have to stand down. Right? So what I've learned about honesty is we have to be honest, but we can actually delay. You have to meet rational with rational and emotional with emotional.